There's a powder that strips rust off concrete, turns gray wood back to the color it was the day it was cut, and cleans stainless steel better than anything under your sink. It costs about $2 a use. A bag of it lasts years. They sell it as Barkeeper's Friend. They sell it as Cabot Wood Brightener. They sell it as Zud, Savagran Wood Bleach. Different aisles, different labels, different prices, same chemical inside every one. The powder is called oxalic acid, and once you see what it actually does, every one of those products starts to look like the same thing in a different package. Because that is exactly what they are. Okay, so what is this stuff actually doing? Because once you get the chemistry, the rest of this clicks. Oxalic acid is what chemists call a chelating agent. Fancy word, but it's really a simple idea. It's actually a molecule that grabs onto metal ions and pulls them off whatever they are stuck to. Think of it like a magnet for rust, mineral stains, and oxidation. When iron reacts with water and air, it forms rust. When that rust sits on your concrete driveway, your wood deck, your stainless steel sink, it bonds to the surface. Oxalic acid breaks that bond. It wraps around the iron molecule, forms a new compound that dissolves in water and rinses away clean. That is why it works on rust stains on your driveway and tannin stains on your cedar fence and hard water rings on your kitchen sink. Same chemistry, different surface. When wood turns gray, what you are looking at is a layer of dead cells on the surface. Ultraviolet light from the sun kills the top layer of the wood fiber. Moisture gets in. Iron from nails and fasteners reacts with tannins in the wood and leaves black streaks. The wood is not ruined. It is just wearing a mask. Oxalic acid strips that mask off. It dissolves the dead gray layer, breaks the iron tannin bond, and reveals the fresh wood underneath. The color comes back in minutes. Not painted over, not covered up. The actual wood, looking the way it did before the weather got to it. That is one chemical doing one thing, pulling metal ions off surfaces. And there is an entire aisle of products built on selling you that one thing in 6 different packages. Okay, so let me walk you through them, because this is the part that got me. Start with the one most people know, Barkeeper's Friend, the gold can in the cleaning aisle. This thing went viral on TikTok, over 190 million search views. Chefs swear by it. Your mom probably has one under the sink right now. Flip it over and read the label. Primary active ingredient, oxalic acid. It makes up less than 10% of the can. The rest is feldspar, a ground-up mineral that works as an abrasive and a detergent. Basically rock dust and soap. The thing doing the actual cleaning, the molecule breaking the bond between the stain in your pan, that is the oxalic acid. About 1 ounce of it per can. You're paying $3 for 1 ounce of active ingredient mixed into 11 ounces of filler. Now walk to the paint aisle. Pick up a gallon of Cabot Wood Brightener, around $18. Flip it over. I pulled up Cabot's own technical data sheet, the document they publish for contractors, and I had to read it twice. Ingredients: water, oxalic acid. That is the entire product. 2 ingredients: water and the same powder that is in the Barkeeper's Friend can. $18 for water and a couple tablespoons of a powder that costs pennies per use. That one stopped me. Savagran Wood Bleach, the black box in the paint prep section. 12 ounces for $8 to $18 depending on the store. Read the label. Contains oxalic acid. That is what it is. The product name is wood bleach. The product itself is oxalic acid in a box with instructions on it. Zud Heavy Duty Cleanser. Sitting right next to the Barkeeper's Friend on the shelf. Safety data sheet confirms it. Contains oxalic acid. Same active chemistry in a different colored can. Defy Wood Brightener. $20 a gallon concentrate. Product page says it right there. Contains oxalic acid. Restore a Deck Brightener. Oxalic acid mixed with citric acid. 6 products, 6 brand names, 6 prices. 1 molecule doing all the work. So what does the actual powder cost? A 2-pound bag of 99.6% pure oxalic acid runs about $10 to $15. You can order it on Amazon, find it at Walmart, or walk into Home Depot or Lowe's and look in the paint prep section. It is usually sold as wood bleach. That bag lasts years. Let me put the math on this so you can feel the gap. That bag of pure oxalic acid makes roughly 30 or more gallons of wood, brightening solution. Cabot charges $18 for 1 gallon of the same thing. You just made 30 gallons of it for the cost of one of theirs. With the Cabot, you are paying for water, a blue dye, and a plastic jug. The chemistry inside costs less than 50 cents a gallon to mix yourself. Now here's the part that actually matters if you are going to use this stuff. Because the products on the shelf never tell you any of this. They just tell you to buy their bottle and follow the label. For brightening a deck or a fence or outdoor furniture, any exterior wood that has gone gray, start by cleaning the surface first. If the wood has mold, mildew, or heavy grime on it, you need to deal with that before you brighten. A pressure washer handles loose dirt. For mold and mildew, the pros use sodium percarbonate, a powder you mix with water that foams up and kills organic growth. You might know it as OxyClean, which is just sodium percarbonate in a branded tub. A bag of the raw powder costs a few dollars and does the same job. Scrub it on, let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes, rinse it off. That is step 1. Once the wood is clean and dry, mix about a cup of oxalic acid per gallon of warm water in a plastic bucket or plastic sprayer. Do not use metal containers. The acid reacts with metal. Warm water helps it dissolve. Stir until the powder disappears. Apply it with a pump sprayer or a brush. Work in sections so it does not dry on the surface before you rinse. Let it sit for 5 to 15 minutes. You will see the color start to shift. The gray lifts. The original tone pushes through. Rinse thoroughly with a hose, and I mean thoroughly. If you leave residue on the wood, the surface stays too acidic and your stain will not adhere properly. Rinse until the water runs clear. 1 gallon covers roughly 200 square feet. After rinsing, let the wood dry for at least 48 hours before you stain or seal it. The wood needs to be below about 13% moisture content for a finish to adhere properly. If you rush it, the finish fails. And here is something most people do not know, and it is the reason half the stain jobs in America fail within a year. Most wood cleaners and strippers are alkaline. High pH. They leave the wood in a state where stain cannot grip properly. If you slap stain or sealer on alkaline wood, it will not absorb evenly. It peels, it blotches, it fails. Oxalic acid is acidic, so it neutralizes that alkalinity and brings the wood back to its natural slightly acidic state, which is exactly where it needs to be for a finish to soak in and hold. Every professional wood restoration contractor knows this. It is step 2 in a 3-step process. Clean first, brighten and neutralize. Second, stain third. Skip step 2 and step 3 fails. That is not marketing. That is wood chemistry. And the bottle of branded brightener never explains why it matters. It just says, apply before staining. Now you know the reason. For rust stains on a concrete driveway or sidewalk, the orange streaks from a sprinkler head, a metal chair, fertilizer runoff. Mix 1 cup per gallon of warm water in a plastic bucket. Brush it onto the stain. Let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. Scrub with a stiff brush. Rinse. For cleaning stainless steel, sinks, countertops, the barkeeper's friend use case, sprinkle a small amount of the powder on a damp sponge and add a pinch of baking soda. The baking soda gives you the abrasive grit that barkeeper's friend gets from feldspar. You just made the same product for a fraction of a cent. Scrub, rinse, done. For rust on tools or metal parts, mix a solution of 10 parts water to 1 part oxalic acid in a plastic bucket. Drop the parts in, let them soak overnight. The rust comes off without scrubbing, rinse and dry. For indoor hardwood floors, if you have black water stains or dark iron marks from a planter or a piece of furniture, dissolve a few tablespoons in a quart of warm water. Apply it to the stain with a brush or a rag. Let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. Wipe clean and rinse. The black mark lifts right out of the grain. This is the same fix furniture restorers have been using for decades on antique tables and chairs. For clothing, if you have iron stains on fabric, the brown or yellow marks from hard water, dissolve a tablespoon in a quart of warm water. Soak the garment for 30 minutes. Then wash it normally. The stains come out because the chemistry does not care whether the iron is on a driveway or a shirt. And this is where people start asking, what else does this work on? Boat hulls. Fiberglass turns yellow and brown from waterline stains and algae. Marine hull cleaners run $10 to $20 a bottle. Most of them are oxalic acid with a marine label and a marine price. Boat owners on forums have been saying this for years. Barkeepers. Friend works just as well as the expensive marine product, and the pure powder works better than both. Concrete pool stains. Same chemistry, different surface. Quartz crystals. Mineral collectors use oxalic acid to dissolve iron staining from quartz specimens. That is how specific this molecule is. It grabs iron and leaves the crystal untouched. Beekeepers use it to control varroa mites, a parasite that kills honeybee colonies. It is lethal to the mite and safe for the bee. Now, a few things I would want to know before I started, so I'm going to tell you straight. Oxalic acid is a real acid. It is not dangerous if you handle it with basic respect, but it is not baking soda. Wear rubber gloves, wear eye protection. If you are mixing the dry powder, do it in a ventilated area or wear a dust mask. You do not want to breathe the powder. Once it is dissolved in water, the dust risk is gone. Same precautions you would take with Barkeeper's Friend, because it is the same chemical. The can just does not make that obvious. Never mix it with bleach. That applies to most acids, but it is worth saying clearly. Toxic fumes? Do not do it. It does not kill mold or mildew. If your wood has green or black growth on it, you need to clean that off first. I mentioned sodium percarbonate earlier. That handles step 1. Oxalic acid is step 2. They work together, but they do different jobs. It does not work on sealed or painted surfaces. If your deck has a coat of solid stain or paint on it, oxalic acid cannot get through to the wood. It works on raw, unfinished, or previously stripped wood. It works on bare concrete. It works on bare metal. If there is a coating in the way, you need to strip the coating first. Do not use it on natural stone. Marble, granite, limestone? Acid damages those surfaces. Do not use it on aluminum, brass, or copper. And test it on an inconspicuous spot first on any new surface. Store the powder in a clearly labeled sealed container. Keep it away from children and pets. Always mix and store it in plastic, never metal. The acid reacts with metal containers. Treat it like what it is, a useful chemical that earns basic caution, not fear, just attention. One more thing worth knowing before you start. That 2-pound bag of oxalic acid sitting in your garage will still be good years from now. It is a dry powder. It does not expire the way liquid products do. It does not lose potency sitting on a shelf. You buy it once and you are set for a very long time. So how did this happen? How did one powder end up in 6 boxes at 6 prices across 6 aisles of your hardware store? The story is actually kind of perfect. In 1882, an Indianapolis chemist named George William Hoffman was cooking rhubarb. When he finished, he noticed the pot was cleaner and shinier than when he started. Rhubarb naturally contains oxalic acid. So do spinach, parsley, and chives. It is a plant compound, not a synthetic chemical. Hoffman figured out what was happening and formulated a cleaning powder around it. He sold it to the taverns in Indianapolis. The bar owners loved it. They called it Barkeeper's Friend. Same formula, same ingredient, 140 years later. You cannot patent oxalic acid. It comes from rhubarb. It exists in nature. Every company that uses it has one competitive advantage: the label, the packaging, the marketing copy, the end cap display. A $10 bag with oxalic acid, 99.6% printed on it, does not have a brand story. It does not have a website with cleaning tips. It does not have an influencer partnership. It has chemistry. Same chemistry. Different shelf. Different price. The powder is in the beekeeping section. Varroa mite treatment. The liquid is in the deck stain aisle. Wood brightener. The can is in the cleaning aisle. Barkeeper's Friend. The box is in the paint prep section. Wood bleach. The gallon jug is in the marine aisle. Hull cleaner. Nobody in any of those aisles is going to walk you 4 aisles over and tell you the thing you actually need is the same $10 bag with no brand name on it. That is not a conspiracy. It is just the way retail works. Every aisle has its own buyers, its own shelf space, its own pricing. The powder that connects them all does not have a marketing budget. The branded version in each aisle does. The next time you're in a hardware store, walk through the aisles and count how many times this powder shows up under a different name at a different price. The wood brightener, the cleanser, the wood bleach, the hull cleaner. All of them doing the same job with the same molecule. You are looking at one powder scattered across a store that does not know it is selling you the same thing 3 times. One bag, one powder. Every surface in that list. The deck you have been putting off. The fence your neighbor keeps mentioning. The rust stain on your driveway you have been stepping over for 2 years. The stainless steel sink that never quite looks clean. The same molecule handles all of it. It has been handling all of it since 1882. The chemistry never changed. The only thing that changed is how many labels they put on it. If that is the kind of thing worth knowing, subscribe. There is more coming.